In this video I have another Boombox. I haven't seen one of these for a while. I came across this one recently and I thought it looks quite a bit like the Aiwa I already have, and turns out it is. It's a CA-W75, but this one's in pretty rough condition, only really a parts box. They only wanted $10 for it, so I thought I might as well grab it for some tape deck parts if nothing else. But we'll have a quick look at it and actually see what we got here. Definitely a broken pause button, I'd say. I don't think that's just fallen off. And this door is basically broken as well, I would think. It was certainly hanging off at one end. And if I hold the eject down here, we've got broken shafts on that, so they're both snapped off. Could be worth looking at and see whether we can sort of patch that back up. Sometimes you can get these things repaired either by melting bits of wire in there, or ideally use the plastic welding glue. But yeah, rather filthy, and I notice all these doors are sort of damaged. I think is it because the plastic's peeling off? I think that's what it is. It's like the black paint on the back of this that's printed onto the actual like soft plastic piece that's stuck to the door frame. That has actually got something in underneath it that's damaged it, and like it started separating. Oh yeah, when I press that up, oh yeah, it's ripping bits. So it looks like the paint's glued down, but something's happened to this. Oh, the liquid's got in there. Yeah, it's well and truly stuffed. And it's the same on this panel, which is another stick-on bit. That door as well, and has the tuning dial. Yeah, it's got a little bit, I think, but nowhere near as bad. There's a couple of patches up there. So these plastic bits, if they start lifting off or anything, will damage the paint underneath quite often, because they're usually glued right down the whole thing. Sometimes they just have a bit of tape along the edges. Maybe some chemicals got in there or something, and that's what's sticking it together and causing it to come off. Not really sure, but it's in pretty poor shape. It's got stuff splattered all over. It's probably an ex-shop radio or something. Some corrosion on the buttons. Certainly been sitting somewhere on a shelf for a long time in poor conditions, but pretty rare you actually see the same model Boombox twice. For some reason, every one you see is a different model to the last one you saw, and especially Aiwas, I never saw any of these around ever, but again, very reliable, so there's probably no reason to see them. Looks like everything else is probably in reasonable condition if the pots aren't stuffed and that sort of thing, but I guess we'll plug her in and see what it actually does. That's right, they got the square type connector, not the standard. I guess we should see if the battery terminals are mint in there, which again suggests it's been sitting on a shelf in a shop or somewhere, because it's probably been plugged in its whole lifetime. They didn't give us the power cord for it. I do have one of those now somewhere, I think, and I think a figure 8 will fit it. Yeah, figure 8s do go on those ones. Probably not the ideal way to do it, but good enough for testing it. Well, we did have a red light. Yeah, that's why they're a bit dodgy, because it's coming and going a bit, unless we've got a faulty socket. Where are we on radio? We've got hum. Actually, I think the other one of these I had a... Was that the one that had the, I think, shorted caps or something on the equalizer board, took out the audio? I wonder if this one's gone the same way or something. Well, we're on a band. Oh, I can't move it. Band switch stuck. Oh, geez, I'm going to break something. That's interesting. It's almost like someone's glued that on there. Well, that comes off, so that hasn't been turned for so long. It's been on medium wave its whole life, I think. And it's stuck there. Oh, it's just a screwdriver on the heads. Yeah, that will tell you that the tape deck's running or not. And that one actually seems to be. It looks like it's got take up and everything. But still no audio. Why not? If the head's coming through, is that tape got nothing on it? It's always your luck that you put a tape in that's got a blank patch. Oh, I'm not on tape. We've got very quiet tape. Oh, we've hit the end of a song. Tape input's there, but hardly any sound. So I'm surprised tapping on the head came through. Well, that deck cuts the other one off. Let's try it in that deck. It looks like the decks are actually running amazingly. No, we've got nothing. That's interesting. One deck's got sound, the other hasn't. Pressing eject isn't going to do anything. Very slight amount of sound there. Definitely the amp's working. I think the other one had a similar issue. Let's plug an external source in and just see if that does anything. It's there, very faintly, and I think only one channel, and it's there, and even quieter on that channel. So it definitely needs a few things fixing. Might be worth having a quick look at it. Like I say, I always like to know what I've got. If I've got something like an old unit that's probably only going to be used for parts, you could probably clean this up and use it, sit it somewhere and just use it as a display piece. It's not that bad, I don't think, especially if you make that door sit in place properly. And we might be able to do something to patch that broken button up so it doesn't sit down like that. Assuming it is broken, it could be popped off its little, well, it depends how it's mounted. Usually they pivot on some sort of bar, as well as having a lever to press into the mech, and we've got a it looks like a DC adapter plug shoved in the screw hole, because I can see two pins are one of those ones that went with the little power packs, and you could change the polarity or change the size of the plug and type of plug. For some reason someone's poked one in there, I think. Alright, let's get the rest of the screws out. And we have a good antenna, so that was worth $10 alone probably these days, because, well, until you fully pull them out you don't know if they're perfect, but they're not easy to get these days. Let's have a look. I got it by the pins, and yes, it is one of those adapters. Yeah, you got the tip, and you can change the tip to positive or negative. Why on earth someone poked that in there, I'll never know, but maybe they thought it was a socket. Poked it in there and realised they got it down the wrong hole, and they got stuck. Eject that. Oh, we don't need to eject it because everything comes off with this bit. And I think we just got standard Tennishin TN21Z mech, dual one. Can't see any labels or anything on that. And where's our broken button? Oh, it is off the bar. It's not broken at the mech end, or is it? Or is it broken at both? I don't know. It's not broken at the mech end for sure. It's quite likely broken off the bar, but sometimes people bump them and they just pop off the bar there. Well, let's, I guess, remove it and have a look. It might be a simple fix. The door we could probably patch up if you just wanted to do it for cosmetic reasons. I never really trusted repaired doors much with customers, because the chances are in the real world they'll probably break them again. And I never used to like doing repairs that didn't last. I think there was one I once fixed with some plastic welding stuff, and it seemed to be alright. Now it's jammed in there. Come out. I think it's actually good. I think it has just popped off this bar. They got the little hook bit there. Sometimes they bust this upper piece or this whole shaft off. Other times they break this actual piece off. Sometimes, like I say, if someone knocks this thing, it may just get banged and come loose. And that looks to be the case. Let's see if can we hold that up so I can actually get it on there. get the back bit on, and then we should be able to just pop this front bit like that, click into place. Huh, so that wasn't even broken. So this thing was, one of the reasons it would have been cheap is what a seemingly broken button. And man, has that got some dust in it. Get rid of some of the rest of that, just some venture here. We can give those buttons a bit of a clean up. So this machine's not as bad as it first appeared, but I could see the, oh, here's one of the door bits. They're actually, so it's actually, oh, it hasn't broken the other piece off. They just sit in some holes on the side here, so it is quite possible to patch them to some degree. That would have gone on there. Doesn't feel right that way. Yeah, there's a little broken piece. You can put a bit of araldite and melt some springs or something into there. I might even do that just to patch it, just to get it back together for now. Where are we? That's the bit there. Yeah, that one goes back together fairly nicely. But the problem is, of course, you've got to bend it to get it back into these two little lug hole things here. And that's the first thing that's going to break it if you haven't repaired it well before you even get the machine back together. Since I'm not too worried about this, I'll just put a bit of liquid all over it. And they're actually going to clean up a lot better than I expected. They've still got a bit of muck on them. I think it's actually eaten into the chrome coating, as it often does. But that kind of, the first thing I thought would probably write this thing off is broken button, which thankfully isn't broken. We beat Murphy's Law there, because normally Murphy's Law says that everything will be as broken as possible rather than not broken at all. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong, so you tend to assume the worst with these things. Man, the heads have got like corrosion on them, possibly, certainly a horrible coating or something. I'll be surprised if they're not somewhat pitted from that. I mean, they're usually stainless steel or something I think they're made out of, so they're probably pretty resilient, but you leave muck sitting on anything for long enough, and it will eat away at it. That's got something weird going on there. I can't get something off it. Yeah, it seems to have a couple of patches that don't want to come off. And might as well clean the capstans. I'm surprised the belts are still good in this thing, so it does happen though. At least give this thing a basic clean, and then we can sort of test the decks if they do work properly or not. Yeah, quite a bit of stuff on there. Might just give it a quick polish just to see if we can get those buttons decent, because at least I know then I've got a good set of buttons. But yeah, the broken door is always going to be something that probably can't really be fixed perfectly. I think I might have to put a bit of polish on the heads even. Not the most recommended thing to do, but these I think have just sat in a bad environment most of their lives. There is a little bit of stuff on the pinch rollers and caps, and so the decks have had a light use, I would say, but certainly no time recently by the look of it, because the heads were absolutely coated in some muck, just environmental dust and dirt and possibly greasy stuff. Yeah, I don't think those heads are great. They'll probably work fine. They don't have any wear by the look of it, but a bit of corrosion spots on there. So some of the things you think you might get as parts out of these things aren't any good. Some of the things you think are broken actually turn out to be alright. That's the way it goes with this stuff. Let's maybe take the decks right out of this thing if they unplug, which they do. That's always nice. Then I can probably give the front a bit of a clean up as well, and we're going to have a look at that switch. And yeah, that board looks familiar. I think that was the board that played up in the last one. Maybe I should try and find the audio fault as well. Now where's this? Oh, it's actually on a geared wheel thing. So is the switch seized? It's more likely this shaft here. I think, oh yeah, the radio. Does the radio dial come with it? I think this whole plastic piece comes off. I think we'll try and get this circuit board out. See if we can free up the AM or band switch. It's not just AM, it's the whole, oh what, that radio board. Oh, okay, the radio board's on a different board. I thought it was one board, but that's what you get for not looking too closely. That screw is bent, so that must have been like that from the factory. Some wonky screw they put in there. It's not very good. The radio board, I think, is just held on by the backing of the dial here, where the dial cord mounts. So that makes life a bit easier. Good chance to clean that radio tuner knob as well. And it looks like it unplugs nicely from the rest of it. Gotta love a unit that has plugs in it. Pretty rare in boomboxes. But this is why most techs like Aiwa stuff, because it was generally nicely built, and it also worked very well. But they make good audio equipment from their Walkmans upwards, and that's got quite a bit of corrosion. Yuck. Very much corroded. How much of it sticks out the front? Probably not much. Where does it stick out? Oh, over there in the middle of the tuning dial. So that might need a little bit of polish on it. But before we worry about that, let's see. Can we take that? It's usually the actual shaft in that, like, brass collet bushing, whatever the thing is, that seals up. If they haven't been used, the grease in them just dries. We've got a sprung metal piece here. It looks like a ball bearing. That is the clicker. So I guess maybe we can remove that while trying not to lose the ball bearing. How does it come up? It doesn't have far to slide, so you must have to bend it up mostly and flick it. Let's see what the grease is like on that ball bearing. Probably going to be sticky as. It's sticky, but not. I expected the ball bearing would probably stick to my finger, but it's not great. But not as bad as I was expecting. That's sitting in one of the gears. The slot things in the gear there, so let's get rid of that. That doesn't do a lot, but now that I see what we got, it's probably safe to get some big pliers onto this thing and try turning, grabbing that shaft by the D part. Oh yeah, something's turning. So I don't think the switch is likely to be seized up like that, but the rest of it, yes. Question is, can you pull that shaft out or anything? Looks like the plastic bit's just molded on. Oh no, they bent, I think they put it on and bent the ends of the metal. Spread the metal out a bit, otherwise you could pull this thing right out. Probably all we can do is subject it to some RP7 or the like. run down in there? I don't know. Yeah, it will, I think. If we put a little pool of it in the metal front part here. Oh, now it's pouring out. That's a little looser. And a bit on the shaft there. Problem is it's very hard to work it in, especially if there's no play in the shaft. But at least it's moving now. That's actually, that's loosening up nicely now. Quite often you find the penetrating liquid just won't get down in the shaft because it's just hard grease or oil or whatever it was, something's gone all gooey and it blocks anything from going down there. But this one's not too bad. Where's the knob? It's only a small knob, which makes life harder. Oh, that should turn alright. Maybe a little harder than it should be. Oh, maybe put a bit more down there just to give it a good soak. Maybe we'll put that to one side for a little bit. And I guess I need to look at my other video to work out how we fix the audio issue. So if we put that to one side, I can work on this. Even though we've basically got no signal sources, I can plug the CD into there. And I think, have we got enough to... I've got to plug that back into where... Oh, which connector did it go on? Oh, that's handy. Which one's which? HP is for headphone, so it's a good thing they labelled that, because I think they're the same size connectors, just to be a pain. Oh, and graphic EEC, G-EEC, it's got. Another good sign of a manufacturer when they actually label their connectors rather than just relying on you having to go to the service menu and look up what CN4 actually plugged into. You can usually work it out though, because like the headphones should go straight into the amp, which they do. That's the amp chip there. Bit of corrosion on there by the look of it. But we should, if I get the back, be able to power this thing up again. And where's the volume control? That is on the actual graphic equalizer board. That's right, it says pot here to there. Okay, power back on. Use CD as our input. Which is CD auxiliary. It's actually labelled CD. So it shows this was definitely in the 80s. But we're near that. I can hook maybe just to the bench speakers. If I can find an RCA lead. No, that's not going to be... Oh, I can just put it on one side, I think. Red. Yep, sounds like we got onto there. So that's the amp side of the volume. Whether you can see it, but we've got the volume control runs down there. There's a bunch of 3 pins, another 3 pins. So that would be the output of it. That's one of them. The other one is there. Oh, that's right. We've got these two. That's right. We had 2 preamp type chips. I think it was actually shorted. Cap took the rail out. Is that what happened? God, wasn't that long ago I did it, and I've forgotten because it's not the sort of thing you ever think you're going to see again. Because the chances of seeing 2 of the same boombox pretty rare, let alone 2 of the same fault. Now I think they're the volume, that's the ground. It must be one of these other pins is... I think it was one of these pins shorted to ground. So that's the output. Let's just have a look at some caps, since I kind of know what's probably wrong with this one. I guess I should go and watch my own video again. and see what I did. Now, do we have to take the knobs off everything? We probably do. Just to be annoying. Yeah, it looks like every pot has to be denobbed. Okay, I forgot these actually had the labelling on here. It's got right out, B plus ground, left in, right in, and left out. Makes life a bit easier. I'm not sure what the B plus is, but it must be around the 12 odd volts or whatever this thing runs on. Might be a bit lower. It looks like we've got some voltage regulators in there maybe. So we'll check that line there. It's the second from this end. Almost looks like it goes into the pots, but no, it sneaks along here into some other bits. So let's turn the power back on. And well, this big pad is ground. Which one connects to it? That one. And second from that end, which came across here. Oh, we've got around 8 volts. Looks like we go through a resistor, so that could be dropping our voltage if there's a short. Must be that one there. 8 volts or 7.5 and nothing. So that probably is a 9 volt line or something. And that goes into, oh that's right, there's a couple of chips. I think there's those 2 chips are the equalizer chips. So that'll be the B plus pin on that, comes along, something there. What do we got there? A link maybe. Yeah. Comes along and goes to the end, so the 2 chips are mounted the opposite way around, I guess. That's a little pin 1 indicator, that little slot in the top, yeah, they're opposite ways around. And the other part connected is a capacitor. I think that one there is our problem, C340. Let's turn the power back off and go to diode check. So it was that resistor there, and we'll go back to ground. Getting a bit of a short reading there, a short reading there. What value is this? I think that's, is that a 10 ohm, 100 ohm? 100 ohm I think, brown, black brown by the look of it. And yeah, so it's got to be the chips or this capacitor. Let's pull a lead of that cap out. So that was it, I think we've got a dud cap. That was what my memory was, a cap of some sort in here. Was pulling this down. Yeah, it's measuring high now. And I guess we can leave that cap out and turn the power back on. Let's see what we get. That was ground. We can go to where was that cap there? 6.83 volts. 7.5 is about what it's meant to be. That resistor drops it down a bit to about 7 volts. So that should get our sound back. So I'll put a new capacitor in there. But from memory, this is what the other one had, the same cap shorted out. And it's YEC brand, never really heard of them. 100 mic, 10 volt. So I'll put a new one of those in if I can find one. I don't even have any 63 volt ones left. I've got a 25 volt, but it's too big. So I've actually just recycled one off an old car audio board, 100 mic, 10 volt. And I don't think the leads are going to be long enough. Yeah, they're going to be a bit short, I think. Not the best. I think I'll just solder this on the underside of the board. We've only got the whole inside of the boombox on that side anyway. It's just a big empty space. So it looks like I have to order some more 100 mic caps. I used to buy them by the 100, but just the 63 volt because it was mainly going in CRT TVs, but probably time I got some lower voltage ones as well. because sometimes you just need a smaller physical size. Negative on the negative side. And that should do it. That should get this thing going again. I think there's some other ones of these caps in these units. Really, you should probably replace a whole lot of them, because they must be a dud capacitor. For some reason the insulation's breaking down in these things. I guess they're probably Taiwanese made ones. Not the best quality. Normally their stuff does alright, but obviously this was a bad batch from this company. Just seems to be the one value that dies, and it's such a low voltage, it's ridiculous really, but something's failing inside them. So we'll give that a test. And I might even screw that back in partly. Don't know why I had one countersunk screw on this, it's a bit weird, but anyway, they had one at one end. Maybe the Taiwanese are running out of good screws, because they had one dud one. That one on the end of the board's bent. And they replaced one with a countersunk one. Now let's make sure we turn down the volume this time. And there we go. So, same old 100 mic cap fault again. I had a feeling that might, since it's the same model, maybe that killed it. It wasn't just old age, so someone was probably using this and happy to keep using it for whatever they're using it for. But unfortunately the audio died in it, and they would have finally decided to go and buy something new. Oh, now I've got to pull those before I lose them, because I think one just went flying across when I moved that. Is put all the knobs back on. Or should I? Do I need to give that a bit of a clean? I don't know why I'm cleaning this one up, it's not really worth the bother, but yeah, there's more coming off the brush from touching the other part of it than I'm getting off. Actually, we can clean most of that anyway from the outside, so we don't need to worry too much. I think I've lost it. Oh no, there's more. Got 6 of these little things. They're easy enough to pull off again if need be. Get them all in the centre spot. Volume. Okay, let's see how I oh yeah, I can turn that by hand, no problem now. Our band selector switch working again, so I'll put that ball bearing and stuff back in there if I can find them. There they are. Oh, there's actually 2 bits of metal there. Don't know if that really matters. I have bent it a little bit, but we can bend it again when it goes back in. Put the ball bearing in. Really should probably clean the grease off that, but since it's gone a bit sticky. But since I'm not doing a proper resto on this thing, I don't think I'll even bother. Get that back in and try and straighten it out a bit once it's in there. It's a bit loose. I think we've lost our spring. That's better. Yeah, now kind of you get your clicking bit back. Not the best clicking thing on earth, have I? It's definitely my spring that I've bent a bit. Yeah, the end's actually bent, that's why. Maybe we do need to get them in one at a time. That is the problem with pulling these things apart. I probably didn't even need to get that off there. That's better. Second one's probably just to hold it in better. But I managed to get the first one in just by hand, so that must be the one. It must be a bit longer on the ends maybe. But yeah, this one is not going to play along very well. That's alright. Click them properly. I'll just give that a quick polish. This boombox turns out a lot better than I thought it was. Ugh, that is just eating into that metal big time. That is not going to come off, I don't think. Might get some of the other smaller bits off. No, that's, I mean, you can see it coming off, but it's also leaving plenty behind. So I'll just wipe that polish off. It's got some sort of greasy stuff on there too, I think. Not just polish. What else gotta go where? Oh, got my knob on, haven't I? Thought it wasn't going in properly. So beside the cassette door, we've pretty much fixed everything, surprisingly. Actually, I had the wrong knob on that anyway. It's this other knob, little one that went on that one. That was the fine-tuning knob I was using. So that shows how much notice I took at what I was pulling apart. Let's just have a quick look at the belts in this thing. Small belt to the idler, yeah, pretty good. And this we really need to, I guess we can go from one to the other. That is a bit slippy. And so is that, but not that bad. That one more, so that one's pretty close to needing to be replaced. Yeah, that one doesn't spin the other side, so it's slipping on the motor shaft. Oh, this one's got the switch in the way. Since I'm not doing a full resto on it, I don't think there's much point replacing the belts. I might regret that in 20 years time when I come across it and they all turn to goo, but I don't think I'll be caring about it then, so I'm not going to bother doing that. Clean these reels off a bit, and we'll just see if we can patch that door up, I think, just temporarily, or just quickly do it. I might just melt some metal into there and then araldite it. Just so the door clings together and it at least looks half decent as a display piece. So we've still got this problem with these labels are no good. So I really wanted to make this strong. I'd actually drill a hole down in there and a hole up in that piece. I guess we could even look at doing that. Maybe we should do the old drill the hole, put a bit of metal in there, araldite it trick. If I can find a small drill bit. Okay, so I found a spring, quite a thick one, and a little 0.8mm or something drill bit, and you can just drill a hole in there, about in the middle, same here, so they pretty much line up, and then just soak everything in araldite, cut a piece of that spring off, poke it in one half. Sometimes you can araldite that in first, but a lot of the time you just put some araldite on that, shove it down, put some araldite on the joint and the bit sticking up, and then just squeeze them together. And that's enough to do it. But now that I've got my drill, of course these drills will not fit in your normal battery drill or anything. Somewhere I've got a miniature chuck that you can put in a normal drill that holds these tiny ones, and it's meant to be in the drawer with the drill bits, and it isn't, so that's going to make things a bit difficult. I think I've got a little mini drill somewhere that might do the job. So I'll see if I can find something to drill this thing. Okay, I don't know where I've put the drill, or the mini drill. I don't know where I put the mini drill, but I get a funny feeling it might even have that chuck in it. I've got no idea where that's gone. It'll be sitting under something else, no doubt. So I'll put the decks back in for now, not forgetting to put the spring back onto the record playback switch. So I think I'll just put this thing back together. I've given the case a clean. It's a lot better looking than I expected. And I'll put those bits and pieces of the door in a bag, and one day I'll get around to maybe patching that up. but you get the idea of how they can be done. That's one of the ways. You can just try gluing them with plastic welding type stuff. Yeah. And that may be strong enough. I like to put a metal pin in there just to make sure, especially since you've got to bend them even to get them back in the case. And it sort of gives it that bit of extra strength if someone bumps it again or something, rather than just wanting to snap straight off again. But they're never going to be as strong as originally if you glue them. So it's always a bit risky. I always used to just prefer to order a new one if you could still get them, because then you don't have anyone coming back and complaining about it fell off again after not much use. This has actually got a manufactured date of March 1988 on the back in the label in the battery compartment. I can't remember if the other one had a date on it, but that's about what it looks, sort of era it looks like it came from. But it's looking a lot better than it did. Top's cleaned up, there's still a bit of label on there I can get off eventually. Some scratches and stuff, but compared to what it did look, heaps better. But yeah, these doors are always going to have that sort of problem with them. And the radio is starting to go a bit that way as well. So I don't know what got under there, or whether it was heat or something, steam or something, who knows, might have done something. You just would know the environments these things are in. Okay, I got it hooked up to the bench speakers. Better get the graphic equalizer back in the middle, balance in the middle. What are we on? Nothing. Looks like I've got FM now.
Dust to the road. All extra.
Most of that's just a bad FM reception here, but some of the other stations come through alright. Shortwave 1 AM.
The agency to make decisions around common areas.
Fascinating.
Voters, it should stay in government. Deputy Premier and Treasurer
Turn metal off. And we'll see if we've got some tape decks now. That's working. Let's take that door out again. Record deck doesn't sound as good. That deck may need a little bit of head alignment or something. Definitely not sounding as good as the other one. But without a door, it doesn't really matter anyway. Well, I certainly cleaned up better than I was expecting it to, but of course got some damage on the front that's never going to be repairable without a couple of new cassette doors and new cover there. But it's all sort of running again. That deck is a little bit worse sounding than the other one. Speakers could probably do with pulling apart and the dust cleaning off the cones. A little bit of rust and scrape marks and stuff on the grills as well. Buttons have a few little bits of corrosion left. But got it going, came up a lot better than I was expecting it to, given it looked like it had a broken door and a broken button, so at least the button wasn't broken. The door could be patched up. I'm not sure I'll ever really bother. It's more just to demonstrate what you can do with them, but of course it won't be that strong if you do patch it up with a bit of Aerodite or something, but probably do the job as long as you're aware that it has been broken once. But yeah, if there's kids or anyone that's a bit rough on them, probably not the best way to repair them. But anyway, it's kind of interesting getting the same box with the same fault, plus that stuck switch, which just, yeah, works absolutely fine now. But that was nothing major. Luckily the penetrating fluid got down inside that one. That always makes life easier, because a lot of the time it won't get down inside them. You sometimes got to go to pretty drastic extents to actually pull the shafts apart or something. So we got lucky with that one. And now I've got a basically useless boombox. Not sure what I'm going to do with this one, but I can go on the parts pile for now, because it might be handy for the deck or something out of it. And at least if I can spot another one somewhere with missing knobs or broken buttons or something, at least I know I've got one for that. But yeah, I wasn't too sure when I saw it. It looked very similar to the one I had, but I thought hopefully it would be a different model. But as luck would have it, it was exactly the same model with exactly the same fault, or the main audio issue in it. So it looks like those caps are going to be an issue in these things. But I thought it was worth a quick look at her. Tidy it up. I wasn't sure if this top was going to come up any good, because sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Got a lot of light scratching on it, so far from mint. But if you're just stacking them in a pile for display, you don't see that anyway normally. But at least we got the thing all running. I know what parts are good in it. So thanks for watching.